3, 2, 1, go!
16.2 is underway. Sean Woodland and Pat Sherwood are going to bring you the action here from the studio. And we start in the first 4-minute window with 25 toes to bar, then 50 double unders, and 15 squat cleans at 135 pounds.
You know, I've rethought it even since we just spoke a second ago, and I don't know if I would even do this first set unbroken because, much like Tommy said, it's a long 20 minutes and you want to save that grip. So, but hey, they look like they're going for it.
Keep an eye on the top of the screen. The athlete who is leading will have his name highlighted in blue. The athlete who is trailing will be in red. And the number in the white box by the athlete who is trailing will indicate the number of reps that athlete is behind. Both men off the bar and onto their first set of 50 double unders. Now, this is different than other workouts that we've seen like this, especially last year, the overhead squat chest to bar pull-up workout where you had to wait. Couldn't start until a certain time. Now you can start as soon as you're done, and that's big.
Right, an excellent point there. For these guys, maybe they're thinking, all right, I'm going to get out one set of 25 toes to bar, get through these 15 squat cleans that they consider light at 135 pounds because they're going to want that time later on. A lot of us mere mortals, we might want to break a little bit earlier than they are.
Dan Bailey going singles here. He's the first man to the 135-pound barbell. BJORGVIN KARL right behind him. And we're not even a minute 30 into this first 4-minute window.
For all the wonderful CrossFit fanatics at home, pay attention to this. The best in the world, number 3 and number 4, have not linked together a single squat clean. And for these guys, I looked at their overall top end numbers. This is about 38 to 39% of their 1-rep max, and they're not even doing a double.
Not even halfway through this first 4-minute window. It ends with 15 squat cleans at 135. If they get through this, and we're assuming they will, the next 4-minute window will feature 13 squat cleans at 185 pounds.
They're going to be through this round very, very quickly, and I think it's a smart play for them because these bars are going to get incredibly heavy. There's a big difference between 15 at 135 and the very next round, 13 at 185. That's an entirely different ballpark.
Dan Bailey with 2 remaining, and now 1. Gudmundsson is just 1 rep behind him. So Bailey getting through this first round in about 2 minutes, 24 seconds. His time cap is now 8 minutes, and he can get right to work again. 25 toes to bar, 50 double unders, then back to the barbell, this time 185 pounds. And you don't have to change your own weights. You may not have heard Dave Castro say that, but you can have other people change your weights. Bailey right to work on those 25 toes to bar. Now Gudmundsson on round 2 as well.
Now look at Gudmundsson's legs. Just straight, obviously he's got some good flexible hamstrings, making it look very efficient there. Dan's a little more crunched up with the bent knees, and I think in the long run it's going to be a little more taxing for him. But they are holding on to this bar, frankly. I expected them to drop down a little sooner.
A little more surprising maybe that they didn't break these up when they broke up the squat cleans.
Yeah, I mean they're the ones, they're number 3 and 4 in the world. I'm just sitting here watching, but I'm thinking the toes to bar sets at 25. Okay, all right, Dan, nope, he knocked them all out. I just think that's going to bite him in the butt a little bit later on.
Bailey onto his second set of 50 double unders, and then a 185-pound barbell will await him. Again, both of these men have extended their time cap to 8 minutes. Gudmundsson falling further behind, but he is still okay here. Plenty of time, about 4.5 minutes to go before they hit that 8-minute mark.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right now I'm considering this an absolute dead heat. And Gudmundsson, he looks nice and calm, tripping the rope, no need to panic, you know, plenty of time. There's Dan looking over, most likely at the clock. These guys are experienced competitors. And right about now, they're still doing fine, but they're probably feeling that heart rate elevate a bit.
Dan Bailey has opened up a significant lead here on BJORGVIN Gudmundsson, but all that matters for Gudmundsson is that he gets the work done that he needs to get done inside of 8 minutes. And we are halfway to that mark, and once again, Dan Bailey going singles. He has 13 at 185 pounds that he needs to complete.
And Castro said it earlier, you know, you're going to have to earn your heavy weight. BJORGVIN's top clean is 355 pounds, Dan's is 350, so they're within 5 pounds of each other's number 1 rep.
Bailey still going singles, and now BJORGVIN Gudmundsson onto that 185-pound barbell, and he looks a little more composed now than does Bailey.
He looks a little more composed, and he's just got a better overall lifting position, shoulder flexibility, squats a little more upright. You know, Dan's got those massive pecs and arms. He's trying to move that barbell around. It's almost a hindrance.
Bailey at 171 total reps. Gudmundsson is now 3 back of him. 8 minutes is the key time cap here that both of these men need to get these squat cleans done They do that, then it's back to the pull-up bar for 25 more toes to bar, 50 double unders, and then the weight. This is where we start getting real. It's 11 at 225 pounds.
Yeah, and I expect them to make it through the 225, and I want to see how they do with the 275-pound barbell. Dan's such a veteran. I mean, 5 games appearances under his belt. The Bjorgvin's 2, but Bjorgvin again is just looking, he's not flustered whatsoever.
Gudmundsson is now cut into Dan Bailey's lead. He's just 2 reps behind. Bailey with 2 to go before he closes out his 11 at 185, and Gudmundsson with 4 to go as Adrian Bosman is his judge in the red knit cap.
Not to bring back anything painful, but you remember what Gudmundsson did to us at the games. Made us look foolish, caught us off guard.
Yes, he did.
You're paying particular attention to where you are right now, Bjorgvin.
Dan Bailey is now done with the second round, so his time cap has increased to 12 minutes. It's back to the pull-up bar, 25 toes to bar, 50 double unders, 11 squat cleans at 225 pounds.
I just have to think that we're going to see a break on this set of 25 toes to bar. I mean, I could be wrong, it happens once or twice a year, but I'm thinking 25, good Lord.
Bailey continued to crank away at those toes to bar. This is his 3rd set. He went unbroken on his first 2. Gudmundsson taking a little more rest now. They both have about 5 minutes, 40 seconds before that 12-minute time cap that they've extended into to get all the work done, and Bailey has broken up his toes to bar.
And I think that's a very smart play. I only hope that when we reflect on this workout, that maybe he shouldn't have, he thinks maybe I should have done that in the second round, instead of going 2 sets of 25 unbroken.
Gudmundsson taking significant rest now as Dan Bailey is working towards the end of his 3rd set of toes to bar. And now it's 50 more double unders as he has a 13-rep lead on Bjorgvin Gudmundsson.
Dan is, again, he's got so much experience in this arena. He has done a head-to-head open announcement times in his life. Twice against Rich Froning, once against Scott Panchik. He's no stranger to this environment. However, he's 0-3, so he would really like to claim this as victory number 1.
Gudmundsson still has not completed his 25 toes bar, and Dan Bailey is going to get to the barbell, it looks like, before Gudmundsson might even complete his 3rd round of 25 toes to bar.
And if you're this level of athlete, 50 double unders, it's going to take you, let's say, about 30 seconds. So right now, if Gudmundsson gets on that rope, he should only be about half a minute behind Dan.
Bailey to the 225-pound barbell. He has until the 12-minute mark to do 11 squat cleans at that weight. As Gudmundsson is finally onto the rope, he has 50 double unders to go.
Such a smart play by these guys. I mean, they know as soon as they heard the workout, I need a lot of time at the end because it's not going to get bad slowly. It's going to happen really fast, and I think Dan is experiencing that right now with the 225 bar.
Gudmundsson chipping away at those double unders. 4 minutes to go before we hit the 12-minute time cap. And Dan Bailey is methodically going to work on that 225-pound barbell. Bjorgvin Gudmundsson will be joining him momentarily.
And historically, strength was one of the things that hurt Bjorgvin a little bit at the games last year, the 1-rep max, heavy DT. But he has put in some work in the offseason. Again, he's got his 1-rep max clean within 5 pounds of Dan, actually 5 pounds heavier.
Dan Bailey with a 5-rep lead on Bjorgvin Gudmundsson, who at 225 looks really good on that first rep.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know, Bjorgvin could just be playing the long game. Maybe he thinks that Dan is going out a bit too fast. We know Dan's a sprinter, and so he's trying not to get caught up in his pace and just run his own race.
I was going to say, it's very easy in this setting to get caught up in someone else's game, and it looks like BJORGVIN KARL Gudmundsson is executing his game plan. Just about almost 3 minutes to go now before we hit the 12-minute time cap, and Dan Bailey is going to get in well inside of that. Just 4 reps to go now. His time cap will be increased then to 16 minutes, and the barbell will then move to 275 pounds.
And these guys, I mean, we're watching this thing for the first time. We're going to go home. We're going to nuke it. We're going to replay it, see how long they rested the sets of the toes to bar, and people will dissect this and do better performances. They had about 10 minutes to think about it, figure out what they thought was appropriate, and they dove right into it. They're crushing it right now.
Bailey with 1 to go at 225. Gudmundsson is now 4 reps back. Dan Bailey will close out round number 3, extend his time cap to 16 minutes. And once again, it's back to the pull-up bar. 25 more toes to bar, 50 double unders, and 9 squat cleans at 275 as Gudmundsson now has 4 reps to go.
I mean, he's finished with the first 3 rounds, sub 10. He is cooking. I'm a little bit concerned that old Sprinter Bailey is going out a bit fast here. Goodmanson, you know, it's easy to think, oh, he's losing, but he could be winning in the long run.
I'm really impressed with the way that Goomundson is moving that barbell. He's not doing it nearly as quickly as Dan did, obviously, but he does look smooth on these reps. But this rest time might catch up with him. Less than 2 minutes to go before he hits that 12-minute time cap, and Dan Bailey is already in to round number 4.
There's also a big difference between your 1 rep max. That doesn't necessarily translate to you moving 50, 60, 70, or 80% of your 1 rep over and over again, that kind of stamina. So that's going to play a huge part in this workout.
Goomundson is done, and he has extended his time cap now to 16 minutes. Dan Bailey is off of the pull-up bar and breathing rather heavily as he works on his now 4th set of 25 toes to bar. Goomundson collecting himself as well, and now you really start to watch the clock.
I think we are in the workout right now. The 275-pound barbell, which is a respectable 1 rep max clean. For most people that have been doing CrossFit for years, these guys are going to attempt to rep it out in an open workout.
Dan Bailey's through 25 and now on to the jump rope as he will eventually stare down the 275-pound barbell and try to perform 9 squat cleans before we hit the 16-minute mark. Goomundson's still on his toes to bar.
You know, I haven't had a chance to watch Goodmanson train, but I can say I've been lucky here at HQ. Dan's come up a couple times. I've seen him, what his training days look like, how he eats, how serious he takes this, and I'll tell you what, he is podium hungry in his 6th year. So, hey, maybe this pace isn't too fast. He's just a better athlete than the last time I saw him throw down at the Open.
He is leaving BJORGVIN Goomundson well behind him, and Goomundson is coming up on about 4 minutes to go to complete all the work and is taking multiple rests on those toes to bar. Bailey almost done with his set of 50, and then he'll be back to the barbell for 9 squat cleans at 275 pounds.
We're belting up. We're belting up, Sean. You know, I usually belt up for 275. Anything below that's child's
play.
play.
95, you kidding me?
People need to realize all these things hurt each other. The toes to bar, burn the grip in the forearms, your lats and your abdominals. Then you jump rope, you can't breathe, your abs are tight, your shoulders are burning. And it still hits your forearms a bit, and then you need all of those very things in addition to leg strength to move the barbell.
Dan Bailey is done with 1 squat clean at 275. The time cap is 16 minutes. BJORGVIN Karl Goomundson working on his set of 50 double unders, and he will try to join Bailey at that 275-pound barbell.
I'll tell you what, I think Dan's got it. I'm sure he's hurting. I'm sure he's in a tremendous amount of pain, but what I'm looking at is once he catches the barbell in the bottom of the front squat below parallel, what's the bar speed on the squat when he stands up? Is it this struggle with shaky legs? And he's still pretty fast out of the bottom. I think he's got a great shot of getting to that 315-pound bar.
3 minutes to go before we hit the 16-minute time cap. Bailey trying to extend this into a 20-minute workout. And that's the terrible thing about this for the better athletes. Like, the better you do, the more you're going to suffer.
Right. Inside the mind of Dave Castro, if you're fit, the more I'm going to give you an opportunity to not only prove it, but you're going to have to suffer to do it.
It's about 2.5 minutes now before we hit the 16-minute time cap. Goomundson is on his 275-pound squat cleans and continues to look smooth. Bailey is well into his set. They have 9 total to complete. And then 1 final round, but both men are slowing significantly.
Yeah, Dan's bent over, breathing hard, but still, the bar speed once he catches it is good. And so's Goodmanson. He's a few reps behind, but the squat still looks strong.
Bailey through another rep. Almost 2 minutes he has. Looks like 2 squat cleans to go. His judge's hand in the air, indicating the number of reps that he has left. So Dan Bailey might get into the final round here. Goomundson with 5 left, so this is doable for both of these guys.
I am 100% impressed. They, no pun intended, are setting the bar extremely high for the rest of the athletes that are going to check this out and hit it over the course of the next couple of days. I wasn't sure if we'd see them break into the 315. This is incredible.
Bailey hitting another one, and that's the last one of the round for Dan Bailey. 20-minute time cap now, and that's going to be it. And Dan Bailey will have a chance to get to the 315-pound barbell. 4 to go for BJORGVIN Goomundson. He has to get it done inside of 16 minutes.
Dan bought himself about an extra 90 seconds. He finished, he could have taken all the way up to 16 minutes, but nope. He's going to really be happy that he has that extra time.
Bailey doing smaller sets now on the toes to bar. Gudmundsson with about 60 seconds to go before he hits his time cap.
Dan just needs to do what he's doing, maintain this pace. You want to get to that final barbell, or whatever barbell you wind up, for the people at home, with as much time as possible.
Gudmundsson only has 1 to go, so he's going to join Dan Bailey in the final round. He's going to cut it a little close, but it looks like he is going to make it. Bailey with a significant lead on Gudmundsson, but now BJORGVIN Karl Gudmundsson has made it into the final round.
I mean, for a guy that, my problem is strength. I need to get stronger. He is under fatigue, under duress, with all the pressure of the world looking at just these two guys work out, is going to make it to the 315-pound barbell.
We know this thing is going to end at the 20-minute mark. What we don't know is how far both of these athletes are going to get. 7 squat cleans at 315 pounds, and Dan Bailey is almost done with another 25 toes to bar, and it is criminal how easy these guys are making this look this late in the game.
I'm impressed. I got to eat my words a little bit. I was certain that old hot out of the gates Bailey had done that again, and even though he did have the faster pace, it's looking like it was the right pace for him.
Dan Bailey now on to the jump rope. BJORGVIN Gudmundsson looking pretty good here on these toes to bar.
He knows it's now or never. I mean, there's no reason to hold back on the toes to bar or the double unders. Every rep of that 315-pound barbell for the top games athletes is going to be huge separation on the leaderboard.
Bailey cranking through and looking good on the double unders. 20-minute time cap. That's what he has to get done. 7 squat cleans at 315 pounds. 5 toes to bar to go for BJORGVIN Gudmundsson. Then he'll get to work on the jump rope.
I don't care what your 1 rep max clean is for everyone at home. Break out your phones and figure out what about 90% of that is, because that's what Dan Bailey's about to attempt right here. This final bar is 90% of his 1 rep max, which is usually when you're fresh, you're well rested, you had a good meal, you listen to your favorite song. He is huffing and puffing and destroyed and about to attempt 90%.
Just inside 3 minutes to go before we hit the 20-minute cap on this workout. Dan Bailey, if he can complete 7 squat cleans in 3 minutes at 315 pounds, he will finish this workout.
Wow, I can't believe it.
What is down for Bailey?
That is monstrously strong this far into the workout.
2.5 to go. Gudmundsson trying to wrap up his 50 double unders and then try to get as many reps as he can at 315. I did not expect this.
No, and again, I'm sure Dan is in agony, but once he receives the barbell, he looks strong coming up. Keep those elbows up, Dan. There you go.
2 down for Bailey, 5 to go, and we're approaching 2 minutes to go until the time cap.
I'm going to have my mind blown if Dan can knock out 5 more of these things before the clock hits 20 and actually finish this workout.
I mean, it's cold there in Candler. You can see the steam coming off of Dan Bailey, and he is working hard. Now, Gudmundsson is on the barbell, and that looked impressive.
I am 100% impressed. Dan looks a bit stronger this far into the game, and he's got the momentum of knowing that he's ahead. But Gudmundsson getting under that weight is no small feat.
Of course, it wouldn't be a Dan Bailey workout if there wasn't some slobber coming off of him and a whole bunch of sweat.
Leave a little something for the garage to clean up afterwards.
I don't think he's going to mop that spot. Bailey, 4 to go.
Get back on
90 seconds before we hit the 20-minute time cap.
And still looking so strong on the front squat. I can't believe it. Right now in his head, he's doing a lot of complicated math, physics. What's my heart rate? How many more can I get in? I've got 1:15.
Coming up to the 19-minute mark. 20 minutes is going to be it for 16.2 for both of these men. And Dan Bailey currently has a 2-rep lead over BJORGVIN Gudmundsson, the man who finished 3rd at the CrossFit Games. Dan Bailey was 1 spot behind him in 4th place. And Bailey, in 5 trips to the Games, has not been on the podium. He's hoping 2016 is finally the year he does it, and he gets another good rep.
Both of these guys battling at the 315. Honestly, I didn't think that we would see this. If one of them got through the 275, I was going to be stoked.
Bailey is calling on the crowd. He has 2 to go, 40 seconds left before we hit the 20-minute time cap, and Dan Bailey is 1 rep away from finishing this workout.
I didn't think it would be done. Dan Bailey is going to set the bar incredibly high for everyone else to chase.
30 seconds, now 25. Now Gudmundsson with 3 reps to go. Dan Bailey's going to make one run at this thing.
Give us what we want. Give us the victory.
And Dan Bailey will get it. Dan Bailey has finished
Unbelievable.
16.2.
Right now, Froning is just shaking his head.
Bjorgvin Gudmundsson, I mean, had it not been for Dan Bailey finishing that, that would have been incredible. But Dan Bailey is going to get the win. He completes all 430 reps inside the 20-minute time cap.
And finally, after 3 losses in head-to-head open competition,
you can't hold that over his head anymore.
He is victorious. He won the Open in 2011, and now he has his first head-to-head victory in an Open announcement. It's a heck of a victory.
Dan Bailey by a couple of reps over Bjorgvin Gudmundsson. Bailey is pumped up, and he should be. I mean, we just sat here, and I looked at this thing going, oh, no one's going to finish that. And then, boom, right out of the gates, someone does it. So we'll have to reevaluate that. I think quite a few men are going to be able to get through this whole thing.
Yes, I have to take a step back. Not that they made it look easy, but I didn't think we would see one finish it and one get within just a couple reps that strength is not his thing. Yep, I think there's going to be a lot more people now chasing times to beat on this workout.
And give credit to Dan Bailey, too, because he obviously knew the pace. I was a little worried for him, too, as I know you were, that he came out of the gate so hot on some of those.
Yeah, that traditionally, that's what he does. I mean, self-admitted. But that's what makes him such a dangerous athlete, is he has the potential to win events if it winds up in his wheelhouse.
There's the score. Dan Bailey, 19 minutes, 49 seconds. He completes all 430 reps. Bjorgvin Karl Gudmundsson just 2 reps back at 428. What impressed you the most now about both of these athletes? Let's start with Dan Bailey.